Okay, section 2.7. This is just more applications, maybe more specifically to business and economics. Just going to try to maximize and minimize again. So I wanted to go over just a couple of things that we've kind of already talked about, but it's worth reminding ourselves. When we're talking about business, X will usually represent the number of units. So like, for example, the number of pairs of socks that are sold, or the number of candy bars. It's just the number of units an item that you want to sell and produce. P of X is the price per unit. This is a little weird. Like, I feel like it kind of bothers people sometimes that you plug in the number of units that you want to sell and you get out the price. But this relationship is really important, and I've got an example that kind of illustrates this. So suppose there's two stores in town and one of them sells 524 cell phones, and then there's another store and it sells the exact same cell phone for 356 units, not four, but they sell 356 units. So the first store sold a heck ton more of units than the other one did. So, I mean, given that knowledge, there's a couple of possibilities here. Like, it's possible that store number 2 is in like a really weird location, but probably, and in my example, the reason there's this price discrepancy is because the store that sold more had a better price. So what I'm trying to get at is that there is a relationship between the price of something and how many you're going to sell. So we're going to continue this example later, this 524 units, that store. So keep that in the back of your mind. So R of X is the revenue, and that's just the money that you receive from selling X units. And you could figure out what that is by the number of units, that's X, multiplying by the price per unit. So that would give you the revenue. An example is that store that sold 524 cell phones. If they sold each one for 356, to figure out what the revenue is, you just know it's 524, and then times the price of a single one, which was 356.89. And then I'm going to have to use a calculator for that because I don't know what that is. Okay. So 524 times 356.89, that is $187,010.36. Okay, so then the cost, or C of X, C of X is the cost to produce X items. So the thing about producing items is it might not be that each item costs the same to make. Like, it might be that, if you make 500 of them, it's really easy to make another one. So a lot of times the cost function will be given as like an actual, interesting function like this one, which says that the cost to produce these cell phones, each cell phone, the cost is given by 115x plus 9,000. So I worded that funny. Let me try it again. So the cost to produce X items is 115 times X plus 9,000. So if I wanted to know how much it cost them to make those 524 cell phones, I would just plug in 524. So 115 times, times 524, and then plus 9,000. So looking at that equation, maybe it's like $115 for the parts and the labor, and then it's 9,000 to rent the place that they do it at, or something like that. But let's use a calculator and figure out what that comes to. So 115 times 524, and then plus 9,000. That gives me 69,260. All right, so that was the cost to make them, and it's a really good thing that this number is smaller than that number, because in order to make money, you need your cost to be lower than your revenue. Okay, and then profit is when you figure out how much you made just straight by selling and then subtract it all the costs that you incurred to make that. So, and another way to do this is also if you remember, revenue was the number of items times the price per item. So X times P of X, that's the revenue minus the cost. So same thing, just a different way to look at it. Okay, so then there's an example down here. What is the profit that the company earned by selling 524 cell phones? So we found the revenue here. So 187,000, $10, oops, $10.36. And then minus the cost to produce, which was 69,260. So let's do some subtraction. 187,000 minus 69,260. Okay, that is $117,750.36. Okay, so below I've got like a little table of, what each thing makes. Don't know why that got cut off. So X is the unit, P is the price, revenue is X times the price, marginal revenue is the derivative. So most of this, actually, I think all of this you've seen before, but if you have any questions about it, you could ask me on the discussion board.